Okay, I'm going to be doing completing the square on parabolas. This one should just be review because you've already done completing the square with quadratics, which parabolas are quadratics. You did it with circles, ellipses, and hyperbolas. So hopefully it's kind of easy, but the one thing that we need to remember is when you have it set, something set like x plus y squared plus 2y plus 7 equals 0. Whichever letter is not squared, that's the one that you want to get by itself. So I want to get this x by itself, which means I'm going to subtract y squared, I'm going to subtract 2y, and I'm going to subtract 7. So it's going to be x equals negative y squared minus 2y minus 7. And what I mean by that is one of your terms is squared. The term that is squared goes on the right hand side of the equation with all of the other stuff. The term that is not squared stays on the left. So now we have to go through the process of completing the square. So I'm going to trap the y's. I have to factor out the negative 1. I'm going to drop a y from each of them. Whoops. I'm going to divide by 2. I'm going to square it. Now when I squared this, I added something to this side of the equation. Because we want the x by itself, I'm going to subtract whatever I added. So 1 squared is 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. So I added negative 1. Now I'm going to subtract negative 1. Now minus a negative, of course, is plus. I'm going to combine these like terms. So I get x equals negative 1, y plus 1 squared minus 6. My vertex is going to be at negative 6, negative 1. Got to figure out what my p is to find the focus. So 1 over 4p equals negative 1. Negative 1 as a fraction is negative 1 over 1. Multiply. And then divide. P equals negative 1/4. So when I'm adding negative 1/4 to this, it's going to change. I'm adding negative 1/4, so it's going to become a larger negative number. So what I'm going to get here for my focus is going to be negative 6. Negative 1 as force is negative 4 over 4, plus negative 1 over 4 is negative 5 over 4. My directrix is going to be y equals k minus p. Minus the negative is a plus, so negative 4/4 plus 1/4 is negative 3/4. And then my axis of symmetry is going to be x equals negative 6. We're going to do the same thing if the y is the term that's not squared. So I'm going to do another example. So if I have something like the y is the term that's not squared, so I want to get everything else to the other side of the equation. So I'm going to subtract 4x squared. I'm going to subtract 16x. I'm going to subtract 1. Now I'm going to trap the x's, factor out the negative 4. Drop an x. Divide by 2. Square it. I added something to this side, so I'm going to subtract it from the same side. 2 squared is 4 times negative 4 is negative 16. So minus negative 16. Minus a negative becomes plus. My vertex is going to be at negative 2, 15. My focus is going to be, this is the vertex. Focus, I got to figure out what P is. 1 over 4p equals negative 4. Negative 4 as a fraction is over 1. Cross multiply, I get 1 equals negative 16p. Divide by negative 16. P equals negative 1/16. That's getting added to my x value. So negative 2 as 16 is negative 32 over 2 plus negative 32 over 16 plus negative 1 over 16 is negative 33 over 16. For my directrix, I'm going to subtract negative 32 over 16 minus negative 1 over 16 is negative 31 over 16. And then my axis of symmetry, y equals 15. I'm off the screen. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have questions, let me know.